Hello, hello, hello. Is everybody there? I just want to make sure everybody is there because I would like to start off with something, I don't know, like easy, something that we can all kind of relax to, get settled in, start thinking about our life in a different way. We all know that no matter what we want to do, and no matter what we do accomplish, and no matter what we try to help others accomplish, even with our best efforts, even if we get defeated, right, in one day, God's purpose will happen. In the end, God will have the ending that He wanted to have, and that makes me feel happy. It makes me feel happy to know that I can't mess this up. I can only be a part of the plan and be a character in the narrative, and I'll do my best. And I think that will be good. Good, right? And so the reason I wanted to think that way, right, instead of thinking about like, okay, well, we chose to believe, we chose to do things to make God happy, we chose to spread the gospel to other people. Instead of saying we chose it, saying that it could happen just in spite of everything, right, no matter what, gives you kind of more of a chosen kind of feeling, right? Like that, because we are able to accept the sacrifice and grace of Jesus Christ, means that um, in a way, we were chosen to be able to do that. Hey, Lady Love. Hey, Tyrannical Thought Police. Hey, Michigander. AJM, of course. It's great to see you guys. I'm glad that you're here. I actually started on time today, and yeah, I had a couple encounters with people in the YouTube world, right? And I normally don't reach out to people unless I feel very compelled, right? That, this person has a lot to offer, and this person can definitely make it. This person is very smart, right? Like no, I don't have time to play games with people. You know what I mean? Like my day is, I'm not bored. You know what I mean? Like, so everything in my life is purposeful, and so if I'm reaching out to you, it's because you're valuable to me, right? And you're valuable to God. And I don't know why I know this, right? It's nothing I figured out on my own, but sometimes instinctively I'll know that somebody would be a great weapon for God, right? And that if they were able to accept the sacrifice and grace of Jesus, right, and for salvation, physically just then the sky's the limit for these people, right? Like, but what's crazy is and this is the hard part, right? Is oh, I'm sorry about your severe winds, buddy. Oh my God. Getting back on the roads, we're blocked by trees. Oh my God. So you guys are stuck in the house. I hope you have enough to eat, you know. I just ordered like a whole bunch of oatmeal and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that I have everything desirable, but I have every bit of food that I would need for the rest of the month. What's up, Clutch? I'm so glad you're here, buddy. So glad you're here. I'd like to hear from with Cindy or Tom or Faith or people out in that area. Deb, well, I guess Michigander's here, so, but he's saying it's pretty bad out there. So it's weird, right? Because I still get sympathy pain for you guys. I'd almost rather be going through it myself than have you guys go through it. I was telling Hannah that last night. We were Facebook chatting, and she was showing me all the mandates. Like the a post from like her government that says that they got to be stabbed by the 17th, right? And that's it. So I don't know if that's already close. I don't know what date it is today, but oh no, what did I do here? Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so 100-mile-an-hour winds, that's just crazy, man. That, to me, that's crazy. 100-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, that sounds fast, right? But I know there's worse ones, right? Like, wow, man. And see, it's storming out here, but it's nothing. I mean, I feel bad to even call that a storm compared to what you guys are going through. Okay, that's good. And I did hear from her yesterday. She was okay. Sent a text from because they wanted to know how she was doing. The kids were actually like real brave and really impressive on how they're handling it. And that's a good sign. That's a good sign when everybody in the house is on the same page and they trust each other. That's a good thing. And so, yeah, hey, that's what I think. I think the weather is either controlled by God or they have, some kind of, way to control it. I mean, that's obvious, right? Like, that doesn't even sound like it would be that hard to do. I mean, because you think about high pressure versus low pressure, humidity, precipitation, right? These are processes that you can easily create, right? So, oh yeah, you like Good Servant in the morning? Well, that makes me feel good, Lady Love. It makes me feel good. I don't know. I mean, when I had Tom up here every day, it was so much easier because I would be able to speculate a lot more on like ideas that I would have, right? And then he would reel me back in. But I find that if I do that now and take risks of being like, wrong or whatever, then there's a lot to reconcile at the end of that. But I was just feeling like in my prayers, just like I was just, instead of feeling like we chose what we did, I feel like we were chosen, because I don't see people just accepting reality, right? Like they still want to do it a different way, or they still think it's not real, or that or somehow they got a better plan or an easier path or a different, and see when you so when you have faith, right? When you put the belief in something before you know that it's true, right? You know, eventually you'll see, right? You'll see for yourself that it is true, right? And that you won't have to believe anymore. You'll just know. But if you don't have that faith to begin with, you'll never know for yourself, right? The meek will inherit the earth. I mean, this is this is going to happen because people are overly aggressive nowadays. That's just the way it is. And the more understanding you are to everybody's situation, right, the easier it's going to be to get a piece here and a piece there, you know. I don't know how to say it, you know. That's right, Luke. That's right, Luke. Satan will try to show you any path as long as it's away from God. Absolutely, you know. And see, like, I don't know what like little power that you know you get by worshiping Satan or whatever. You get this little power, little stuff or whatever. I I wonder if it's, you know, I mean, is it even worth it, man? Like to throw away your salvation for, yeah, I mean, people must believe that it's not real or something, right? Or that the Bible somehow is BS, right? But when you read it constantly and then you see just how everything has the Bible in everything, it's like you can't avoid, everything is about the Bible or God, right? It's almost like the Bible is like splintered into, like, you know, a million splinters and, you know, injected into the world in that way, to where you can't, there's no way to fake that. It would never be able to be authenticated that way. And so it's just everywhere, every song, everything, right? All these terms. Like if you read the Bible a lot, you get the language, right, of what is going on in the Bible. And then like if you hear it in a song, you're like, oh wow, that's from the Bible. Like if I didn't read the Bible, I would never have known that, but that's what that is. And you know, you start hearing things like grievous sores, right? Well, if people are starting to get grievous sores of from this thing that they're giving people, then that's something in the Bible about, you know, the mark, right? And you would never know that if you never read that, you know, that term in there. And that's one of the more popular ones, right? Like there's like so many different, like in Jude, right? There's they talk about aqua seafoam shame, and the only time I've ever heard that is in a Nirvana song. And it's just, it's unbelievable, you know, like why would they sing about that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, it's because everything has to do with God, everything. And sometimes when I hear a song, I picture that it's a fallen angel singing to God that they love him and want him to come back, and they're mad. Or, you know what I mean? Like I feel like they want to reconcile that relationship somehow, or they think it's unfair or something. You know, I can't tell you what, because we've been lied to so much that there's never been a good way to follow these things, right? And to get a good idea of what is, you know, reality and what's not, right? If we knew the truth from the beginning, it'd be easy to figure these things out, right? But being like on the, you know, this, it's all, you know, ancillary stuff, right? It's just stuff that's hard to figure out. And unless you really study something, you know, it's hard to know. It really is. Hey, do I get good reception here? Because I want to sit in this chair. I feel like it's a little bit better. I hope that let me turn down the, yeah, that's way better. Oh yeah, turn that, yeah, now my eyes are not hurting from looking at the screen. Yeah, if the yeah, it's crazy how it all connects, man. But it does, and that's, I mean, it gives you so much it gives you so much confirmation that it's real, you know. And I think that's like the important thing, right? Like the devil gets what he wants, right? He gets his, you know, 15 minutes of fame, whatever. And I think God gets what he wants, because the people that really read the Bible, right, will get blessed by everything, because it all leads to God. It all leads either towards or away from God. And everything is connected, right? And see, and you're right, Lady Love. I would be I would believe that, right? That the souls are programmed, right? Um, I wonder how that works, though. Like, I know that there are people that grow up in abusive situations where, you know, they are, you know, abused in a certain way that gets their soul to do, you know, opposite type stuff. I mean, inverted, right? And I wonder how all that works. I wish I knew more about that so I could be there more for people that are going through that. Because, man, wouldn't it be great to find God right at the very end here? And, you know, we program our own souls by accepting God. Yeah, well, that's what I would hope. But I mean, what about like for people that are born into elite families, right? Or maybe not even elite families, but just occultic families, right? That were sacrificed or transgendered or whatever. Like, what are they told, or like how are they trained in, you know, in how to think or how to act? Because, you know, it seems like oh, hey Zero, how you doing? um yeah, it's just it's strange, right? Because like that's the thing I want to know the most, and that's the thing that's hardest to find out. I mean, I have two people that told me about that sort of thing on a very, very private level, and I probably know more than I should, but I still am naive to a lot of that stuff. And in reality, I just want to help people, you know, and you know, tell them what I know, right? And it took me a long time and a lot of studying and a lot of bad rabbit holes to come to where I'm at now. And so there is a value in it, you know, like I do put value in that, my research for in finding God, right? But you know, there's very little I've done. And right, right, yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, how does it? But how is it fair to them, right? Okay, so you're one of those people, we accept our generational ties, and so is it fair? Like, do you get the same chance, right? The same fairness that you can choose God over Satan, right? You can choose like the sacrifice of Jesus, right? And accept the whole truth, or is it like a dark and light side of Satan, right? Like choose the light side instead of the dark side kind of thing. Um, it's very oh, sorry, Clutch says when you type God, it's technically, yeah, exactly, with the capital G. Yeah, that's because everybody in here does the capital G, so you know what they mean, you know. But yeah, sometimes I think some people are caught in between like positive, the positive side of the occult and the negative side, right? Because there's like a yin yang involved, but there's no equal opposite of God, right? Like God is like all good all the time, right? And it would be like, instead of choosing like light magic over dark magic, you're just choosing to separate yourself and wait for the new world, right? Sorry, I had to get some water. And so because the devil owns both sides of every argument, every narrative, right? Like they want us to protest, right? Because they have an answer for us. Or they want us to get the jab because they have an answer for that. Like they want us to pick a side. But what they don't want us to do is ignore them, right? And if we ignore them, right, and just separate completely and wait on God, right? And you know, understand that, you know, it's hard to accept, right? But we lost the world already. It's gone, right? I mean, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, right? I know that People want to hear, no, we can do this, we can fight back, and we can reclaim the earth. And yes, we could. It is possible. And the people that are saying that it are right, but it's not going to happen. Like the Antichrist is going to come in, he's going to fix everything, everyone's going to fall in love with him, take the mark of the beast, and then it's going to, it's going to end people, and it's our job to know that narrative, right? If we don't know that, because like that's what government is, right? Mind control, government, right? To control the mind, governmental, right? And Satan is the adversary, right? So it's like adversarial mind control. And they've been trying to control our minds this whole time, and using fear and all that to get us to give up our own. Right, we got to fight for our right to love, and right, we got to still fight for our communities, right? Like just being our world around us, right? We're still in charge of that, of course, right? Yeah, and without God, you'll be deceived, right? By that first, because it's all a deception, right? It's a mind control. They create all the problems, then they're gonna send a guy in that's gonna fix everything, but it's all their problems that they've created, and it's all lies. It's all lies, and we didn't have to do any of it, but we all fell for it, right? We could reclaim the earth in one day if we wanted, right? But it's just with the way people are, and trust me, I'm defeated and deflated about it too, right? I mean, I'm disappointed in people, right? I'm disappointed in the grown-ups in this world, right? Because when I was a kid, I felt safe, right? I felt like everything was under control. People had it all figured out, right? And but they didn't, and nothing is the way you think it's supposed to be, right? And it's not a totally sad, hopeless thing, right? It just means that our hope lies in the narrative that God left us, and as long as I'm getting confirmation that that's true, right? If as long as everything's happening according to that book, and every time I pray and talk to God, I never get let down by anything. And I've always been able to rely on the Bible to live my life in a moral way. And it's not that important for me, right, to want to define my own right and wrong, my own good and bad, when I have God to define it for me. And see that urge to want to control, what I think is good and bad, right? As opposed to letting God choose that for us. That's the whole difference, right? That's the difference between the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I mean, in my opinion, right? I know that there's a big section of people that believe that was a sexual sin in the garden, and it could very well have been, but it's always been about and yeah, sexual sin has tore this world apart, but it's it's always been about like, well, you could be God, you could be like God, you can choose your own, you can define right and wrong for yourself. And the problem with that is that it changes every year, right? Okay, well, now we're going to start accepting this weird thing, or this thing that's not normal, like usually normal, right? But when you accept the little tiny opening for something not normal, right, you end up with the most extreme example of it coming true, you know? And you're like, wow, that's not what I had in mind when I voted for that. Like, I thought it was going to be a person that was struggling, that wants to be themselves, and they're having identity problems. I didn't think it was going to be some 45-year-old hairy man in the bathroom with my little kid, right? Like, you don't think about that, right? Because you think, well, people in the world are good and everyone deserves to feel accepted, right? And I'm of that opinion, right? Like, I think everyone should be able to feel comfortable in their own skin, right? But it's always that extreme example that's got to come in and kick it wide open. And so the people in the middle, right? Which there's people on both sides of everything that are good people, right? And the majority of people are in the middle of everything, right? And it's just these extreme people are on both sides ruining it for everybody. Super judgy Christians that are just not helpful at all. They just judge people and make people feel bad, right? Or you get like way out of control liberal craziness, right? Straight from Satan. And they're both destructive, right? They're both destructive. When in reality, most of us are in the middle, closer to the middle, and we could really help each other, right? I don't have to look at somebody as bad. I could look at them as, okay, well, that person's maybe sick, or maybe just has different urges than I have, right? Different cravings than I have. And so I've had my battles with addiction, right? And so like I've craved I've craved drugs before. And so I know that even though it felt right, that's something I have to avoid. It sucks, right? Because I want to do it, but I know that it's not good for me overall. And so it's the same with anything that you're giving up, right? Especially if you're giving it up for God, right? It's like, wow, I really want to do that one behavior or that one thing or whatever. And I can't do it. But what are we getting in return, right? We're getting everlasting contentment, right? In an incorruptible body where there's not going to be any sin, there's not going to be anybody hurt, you know. I mean, just the amount of pain that people are going through, right? Um, the amount of pain people are going through right now is just unbelievable. Let me see what Clutch has to say. It says, yeah, Cold Spring, each person gets their own personal whisperer. Oh, what is that? What is that? I want to read what you're saying here. I think that we believe that we could win, I think they believe they can win, or it's just misery loves company and they want to bring them down. Yeah, it could be. It could be, Clutch, because sometimes people, they like to, hey, I feel bad. I'm going to bring this person down. And there is like a little rush that comes with that, right? Like, I mean, I haven't had that in a long time, years probably. But I mean, I think I can remember that's, something like that. And so she says, you get back what you put out. Yeah, well, we reap what we sow, right? That's scripture. It's just like karma, right? You get in what you put out, reap what we sow. And anyone who's instilled evil forcibly into another will can get that back or live in that place. All we are capable of choosing is what to put into the world. Yeah. Well, yeah. And whatever you put in the pipeline will come out. There's no doubt about that. Because it has to. And somebody will pay for that. That's the problem. Is it not every bad person pays for what they're doing? They end up victimizing somebody else. And that's what we really got to stop. Like, I've actually had people say, oh yeah, I don't want God to come back yet. I have things to do. It's like, well, hey man, there's people suffering right now. I mean, there's people, there's like kids getting abused right now. Like, we need God to come back and forget what you're doing right now. That you need time to, that you need time to figure out life. Let's let God come back and get rid of the sin and let's get out of here. Because God doesn't make it hard, right? God makes it, easy to. It's a gift, and we just carry on to the next level, and then we'll make our choices there, right? And, that's the way I look at it. Is that it's a small price to pay, and everything I've read about God, because the image I had of God in the mainstream was like, it was all right, I guess. I mean, some parts were good, some parts were bad about what I learned about God. But when I read the Bible, I mean, that God that I'm reading about is awesome. Like, yeah, he would, like, he'll say, yeah, if you deny me, these bad things will happen to you, right? Meaning, like, okay, if you tell the police to go away, criminals will rob you. It's not like, well, you need, like, if you don't take the police, like, they'll do it to you. It's just God saying, well, partner with me so I can protect you from this. And a lot of people, they take things out of context, or they want to paint God in the worst light. But the reality is that everything is there for our benefit. And the only reason he's tolerating our shit right now is because we're waiting for everyone to be created, to give everybody a chance to move on. I mean, he could get rid of all the evil in one day, like I said, right? I mean, he'll just get rid of us, no problem. But we want him to keep us and get rid of all the evil. Then we get mad at him when he wipes out, most of the world. Because if he didn't do that, we wouldn't be here. Our little group or whatever that made it across that flood, we came out of those people, man. Like, none of us would be here. We would have been eaten up by them other people because they were messed up, man. And so, hey, look, everyone has a choice, right? If you don't have to be messed up. I think that people choose to be messed up because they have a natural proclivity to want to be the boss of everything. And, that's not God's fault. He's just giving everyone a choice because he respects our dignity as a creature to choose our own stuff instead of him telling us what we got to do, right? 14-year-old armed robber in the face of for strangling his mother. For that, you get, oh yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy, man. Yeah. Yeah, everyone's good. Everyone's good, Zero. I haven't seen you in a while, man. I think I seen you over there at what's his name? Oh, you were here the other day. I seen you. Man, today I got 18 in here, man. That's big for me, man. Shoot. That's another level of celebrity right there. What am I gonna do, man? But I just, I think the whole thing is, right, if you can accept reality, if you can accept the way things are, right, then you're gonna make it out of here. But the minute you want to do it a different way, or to try to figure it out, or to try to make it more interesting, or to try to make it more fair, right? Like, the minute you try to mess with it, right, that's forget it. Forget it. It's a narrow road, right? You got to confess Jesus as Lord, and you got to accept his sacrifice for our punishment, right? And go from there. If we don't do that, right, even though it sounds simple, if we can't do that, then forget it. Forget it. And with God, we can defeat everybody. And without him, we can't defeat anybody. You know? And so that's just what it is. God's Will Soaring says, I think that log in our eyes, they teach us their traditions to make the word of God to no effect. Getting rid of that log is requiring your brain with God's truth. Yeah, exactly. And you get all these judgy Christians, right? They just make us look bad, right? They're outside of, like, uh, abortion clinics or whatever, giving some teenager a hard time. I mean, she's got difficult choices to make, right? Unless you have a solution for her, right? Like that you'll take care of the baby or give her money or something, right? Like it's hard, right? Because those people, right, um, will give us a real bad image, when we really should be there to help, no matter how no matter how bad you think a person is behaving according to the word of God. We're supposed to be there to help them get better, not not condemn them for being not good enough, right? Because who are we? We were those people at one point, right? And we forget that we're equal to everybody on earth. There's nobody that's better than anybody else. And that's hard for people to understand sometimes. There's either people that feel like they're worth way less than everybody, or there's people that feel like they're, superior to everybody. And it's both delusional, right? It's delusional to think that way. And so but yeah, you're definitely right about that. The log in our eye, man. Once we get that straightened out, right, then we can start. The only kind of judgment really that I feel comfortable doing is like, if you're my Christian brother or sister and you're doing something that's like, not good for your overall character, right? I'll say, hey, look, you're doing this, and if you didn't do that, people would probably see you as being a better person. It's up to you to change it. And then that's it. And then you walk away, right? If they take your advice, knowing that they could trust your word, right? And knowing that your eye doesn't have a log in it, because you've squared away your life. Well, then, yeah, now maybe someone might make a change based on something you said. But to go to somebody that's lost and to point out everything that they're doing wrong is not good. It's not helpful. It's definitely not helpful unless you're, going to offer solutions. Then, but then that's a different kind of outreach. It would be just much better if you just, relied on God for all that stuff. I know it's hard, man, but we were all lost at some point. You're right about that, Luke. I mean, I'm lost today, man. I mean, if the day I start feeling like I'm better than anybody, right? That's not a good. I mean, shoot, I'm off track if that's the way I'm thinking, right? Because I'm a filthy rag, man, and all I could do is my best today. And if hey AJ Blunt, how you doing? And I do my best, and that's it. Let's see, Cold Springs Queen. The voice of condemnation is the voice of the devil's work. Right, he's the accuser of the brethren, right? Exactly. But God convicts us and then gives us a way out. That's the difference. Exactly. Exactly. Hey, you too, Michigander. You're the man, dude. I know if everyone was like you, man, we'd be all straight, man. Everything would be great. I wish there was a million of you, man. Or more or whatever. That's great, AJ Blunt. I'm glad you're doing well. Man, I gotta have you on the show, man, eventually, at some point. I'm working on a couple things, maybe having some YouTubers on that that aren't Christian people maybe, and just seeing what happens, right? Like I know that usually I try to keep this channel mostly Christian stuff, but I mean, it's such a small section of us, man, that we might have to open it up and start having some conversations about why people are doing what they're doing, right? I want to understand why people are where they are in their belief structure, with all this confirmation out there. That's right. That's the way I looked at it. That's the way I look at it, Lady Love. If everyone was like Michigander, it would be a better place. Yeah. And so yeah, it's just it's amazing, man. Like I've met some of the most strongest people, and um, you know, people that like I have this habit, right? I wouldn't say it's a character flaw, but it's it doesn't usually bear fruit for me, but I'll fall in love with somebody's potential, right? Like I could see what they could be, right? Like wow, that person could really be special, right? And sometimes I want that person to be more than they even want to be for themselves, and that's not my job, right? And I have my own lost potential that I haven't realized, and so it's not like I have any room to talk, but if I could get someone to see what I'm seeing, then and if they did, you know get there, they would be amazing, right? Like, and I don't know, man. But there's even been a lot of like non-Christian people. I'm like, well, if they could just become a Christian person, they can use what their talent, what they're doing, to be, you know, a weapon for God, just a weapon, a a an amazing tool. See you later, Cold Springs. Oh, you'll be listening. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna round out in about like 5 minutes. I mean, I kind of ran out of steam anyway, so I'm just kind of hanging on until the end of the. Usually, I can only hold an audience for like 45 minutes, and for some reason, it's always like that, no matter what. Unless I have someone on with me, then maybe I can push it an hour. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great, Lady Love. I mean, we can even chat over Facebook if you want to be more clear about that, and maybe we can even have a talk or whatever on here on the show or whatever, however you want to do it. But I have a pretty high opinion of you. You're a smart lady, and so we can definitely talk about that. But I'm gonna go ahead and round out. Gonna hit the old dusty trail. Yeah, we need more, maybe more non-believers to come in, right? Well, Rob, I thought about that, right? Because like I really could do that, and I do. You know, I don't have the greatest reputation out there, but I have a good enough one, right? That like I can get some pretty decent people in here, pretty decent sized group of people, maybe. But I got to be careful with what, because I don't really know as much of the Bible, right? Is say somebody's been reading it 30 years, right? So I got to keep my ego in check to the right size, right? Because I've only been reading the Bible 5 years, and I might have some good understanding before that 5 years, but I'm still humble enough to know that I don't know everything, right? So it is what it is, right? But I love that you guys are all here, man. Luke and Rob and Chris and everybody that came by, AJ, Clutch. I mean, I'm glad that you guys all came here today. And man, it really felt good to have a pretty big group today. So anyway, praise Jesus for his sacrifice and his grace. And uh, all glory to God. Pray for the children. And yeah, I'll see you guys tonight at 5 o'clock. Thanks, Lady Love. Appreciate it.